if you think you're going to do it in your own strength, then you know what? Yeah, you can do it.
COVID, it's been helping people move their businesses from offline or brick and mortar to online.
Systems are more important than skills as an entrepreneur today.
It's totally okay to reinvent yourself multiple times, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Welcome to Profitable Coaching Conversations with WendyY Bailey. If you're a coach, speaker, or industry expert, you're in the right place for sales and marketing wisdom and insight to grow your coaching business. Now, here's your host, Income Acceleration Mentor, WendyY Bailey.
Again, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm excited to bring you another awesome guest. We're in the era of me saying awesome versus amazing. One of my guests reminded me of that. So awesome, Trina Ramsey is here. She is a 14-year veteran in her business, but we're excited for her that as of October 2023, she is now full-time in her business. Yay, Trina! You know, I'm going to share a couple of highlights about her bio. Trina comes with over 20 years of experience in nonprofit management, including 5 years as a C-suite executive, and with over 15 years leading fundraising teams, helping to ensure national, regional, and local nonprofits are financially secure in order to fulfill their missions. I'm so excited to talk to you, Trina. Trina and I met at a conference a couple of years ago, and we just have been connected ever since. So welcome, Trina.
Yes, and thank you for having me. You're one of my favorite people. I'm so glad. You know, sometimes you meet people in those spaces and it's like a fly-by-night kind of thing, and some people stick. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad. And it was probably closer to like 5 or 7 years ago. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I want to say it was, it's 7 years because it was 2017, right?
Okay, I think so.
Yeah,
yep.
but I'm glad that we stuck.
Yes,
I'm delighted to have you here to have a profitable coaching conversation with you. So tell us a little bit about what you do. I know you just moved into full-time in October, but you've been doing this a while and you're bringing your expertise from your corporate experience to do what you do today. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I am an executive coach, a speaker, an author, and I work with women who are over 40 to really start to tune into what really matters for them, whether it's career-wise, whether it's pursuing that dream that they haven't allowed themselves to really think about. Mm-hmm. And I formed the company Just Do You Institute for Women's Empowerment because it really is about just do me.
Yeah. And that's also the name of her book, Just Do You.
Exactly.
Yeah. There you go. I would keep in mind, but you know, I'd have to, move some stuff to find it. Just a lot going on in my environment.
It's all good. It's all good. Look, I can usually keep it right at hands.
Well, as you should. Look, I have my 2 books here, so I get
there
it.
You go.
I totally get it.
There you go. There you go.
The thing about your Just Do You Institute of Empowerment for Women, did I get it right?
Yes.
Yay,
just almost. Just Do You Institute for Women's Empowerment.
For Women's Empowerment. Okay, awesome. I had the words just in a wrong order. So that's very, very cool. So what happened in October that you said now is the time after 14 years of running your business as a side gig? One of the things I know when you operate that way, I came straight out of corporate America and was like, I'm going to have a business because I'm not going back. But one of the things that I think happens when you have a side gig and you're doing it, because I coached entrepreneurs that were in that same place, is the decision has to rest in part on your ability to replace that income in your full-time business. But what about the passion part of it? What is it for you in the passion part of it that you said in October, it's my time?
Yeah. So honestly, it's one of those things where I was in this perpetual, I'll be ready in 2 years mode. And I'm getting closer to retirement age. And so it gets tempting to kind of continue to bank and, have the benefits and all that kind of stuff. But after 15 years, well, no, after 25 years in the nonprofit space and that last 5 years being chief development officer, it
Mhm.
wore me out.
Yeah.
And I had finally incorporated last year. It took me 13 years to
Yeah.
incorporate. And
Because
so,
you were in the perpetual,
yeah,
years.
exactly. And so, I just got to the point where I'm like, it's time to bet on myself. So I started moving differently as of January last year, and it was kind of rolling forward. And then in the meantime, that weariness around the nonprofit space was really starting to show up more and more in terms of my personal bandwidth. There was a day that I ended up going to the hospital with chest pains.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, and so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
it's time for me to choose myself and stop worrying about the future and stop worrying about, like, take my advice, stop worrying about it being perfect, you know. And so
Yeah.
I did it, and I'm so
Very
grateful.
good. Yeah. Congratulations. Sometimes what is the expression, if you want to see God laugh, just make plans? And
Absolutely.
I suspect he was like, you think you're gonna do this 2 years from now? Now, because I'm
Yes,
gonna show
exactly.
you now why you need to do it now. I hope your health improved since you left
Oh, yeah,
those.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was, I went and I got checked out all the way through all the tests, all the scans, all the everything fine. And the doctor was like, and I said, could this be stress induced? And he said, absolutely. And so I'm now taking better care of myself. I'm exercising more. I'm getting naps. I'm walking in the middle of
Girl,
a day.
naps are so underrated.
Girl,
I'm just like, you
listen,
said that, and I was like, yes to naps. Yes,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely. So
glad.
I'm grateful, very grateful.
Yeah. And there's a spirit of gratitude. There's a spirit that when it is gratitude, it really serves you in purpose.
Mhm.
So look, y'all write that down. That just came out of my head and through my lips. The
Beautiful.
spirit of gratitude happens when you are walking in purpose.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that I said that, but I thought about it because of you, Miss Trina.
Yes. And I co-sign 100%.
Yeah.
And I find myself using the word grateful a lot
Mhm,
these
mhm,
days. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I have a friend that has a little statue on his table just as you walk in his door, and it says something to the effect of, um, I'm here because I was grateful for the things I have now that I prayed for. I know I'm
Mhm.
messing it up, but the,
Mhm.
the notion is when you're grateful for what you want, not necessarily what you have, then you find yourself having those things that you were grateful for before you had them.
Yeah.
Right?
Law of attraction.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Mhm.
I'm glad to hear you say that it has worked out really, really well for you,
Yeah.
and grateful is
Yeah.
a state that you are in right now.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about who you serve in the marketplace. Tell us about your nonprofit business and how you serve nonprofits, and where you are right now in terms of the business and being in it full time and who you serve.
Yes, thank you. So I'm really excited about this because as someone who grew up in the nonprofit space, I understand the rigors there. I understand the sense of scarcity that can show up, under resourced, understaffed, all of those things. And so
Mhm.
I actually have a
Not for the
client.
weak. It's not for
It's
the
not.
weak. Yeah.
It's not. And it draws people who have a big heart,
Hmm.
have a big heart and want to contribute. And one of the things, and this gets to the audience, is that it also can cause people to stay too long, like I was in danger of,
Hmm. Hmm.
to sacrifice themselves for the good of the cause because we care so much. There are people that need to be fed, educated. I used to work for Habitat for Humanity, housing people, all the political turmoil that we're in. There's a lot of people who are doing really good work. And sometimes we have to choose ourselves. And so part of what I am bringing is my 14 years of executive coaching for nonprofit leaders
Hmm.
around just that. And sometimes that might mean changing up your leadership style. Sometimes that might mean looking into your team dynamic and really dealing with some dysfunction that might show up there. And sometimes that might mean changing your relationship with whether it's the CEO, your board, and really choosing to set different boundaries for yourself.
Mhm.
And so I'm really excited about that. And then, of course, as a career fundraiser, I'm also offering fundraising support for nonprofits as well. And I've been working with a couple.
That's huge, because most nonprofits don't understand that while you have this heart for helping people and serving people, the cause, so to speak, the biggest part of your job is the fundraising piece, right?
Yep.
How do you help leaders, nonprofit leaders, really grasp this and manage it in a way from your well of experience? You know what I mean? How do you help them to make that?
Are you talking about the fundraising part?
Yeah. How do you help them understand?
Yeah.
Fundraising part is so very important, but they've got to balance the heart with the fundraising piece. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they do suffer with the scarcity of resources.
Yeah, exactly. It's different for every nonprofit. I just wrapped a engagement with a very small nonprofit in Maryland that's doing amazing work. 5 years in, first time executive director. And I really had to kind of work with them around how they're allocating their resources for herself as the leader of the organization, the board members, and also how to focus on the right type of fundraising, because there's a lot of, you can spin your wheels in a lot of different ways and not really get things done, and also just waste a lot of time, and it's very demoralizing if you're really stressed about bringing the money in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a job that you don't foresee yourself having when you're in a nonprofit, for sure. I remember it's been a few years ago, and I had gotten to a point where I was like, okay, I have sort of reached the pinnacle of success to some degree, and now I feel like I want to give back. So I joined a nonprofit board, and when I got to the first couple of meetings, I was kind of like shell shocked, because I thought, oh, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to do all this great work. And what we spent most of our time talking about was how we were going to fundraise. You know what I mean? We spent a lot of time in the board meeting talking about who was going to do what and what kind of activities we're going to do to raise money. And it became less about the cause and more about the fundraising aspect of it, right? What is it you bring to that whole career fundraising model? What is it your career fundraising model? I'm not saying it right, but what is it you do based on your knowledge to help them understand fundraising and how really easy it is? You know what I mean? I say easy, but you know, for the person who's focused on the cause, it can feel daunting. So what is it you say to them when they're in that space?
Yeah, so it's really about people. It's about relationships. And sometimes we get lost in all the weeds of all the different processes. Grants are great, but most of the money comes from individuals. Over 60% of the philanthropy in the United States comes from individuals. And it's a harder place to
What a
be.
statistic.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very little known.
Huge.
Yeah, yeah. And so with this nonprofit I was working with, they were spending a lot of their energy on grants, and then also had this plan that was built around corporations. And we know what's happening in our economy right now. Corporations are not giving that much because they're folding, they're laying off people and all these things. So I spent time really kind of diagnosing what's working and what's not. And then I really spent time training the CEO, working with her development committee, and then met with the board and did a little mini training. And now they put together a little plan. I work with them on putting together a plan, and it's literally like, okay, we were doing this, now we're going to be doing this. And also I like to use the word demystifying fundraising, because people get freaked out about money. They get freaked out about money. They get freaked out about asking. And the truth of the matter is that they're people. And you know, from a sales perspective, it's the same type of principles. You have to be ready to accept no, not take it personal, and keep on moving.
Yeah. I also think, you know, since you mentioned sales, I also think it sounds to me like there has to be some orchestration of the effort.
Very much so.
I mean, I think as a person who's seen sort of the behind the scenes of a nonprofit, there seems to be this if you build it, they will come kind of mentality. And unfortunately, that doesn't work in for-profit or nonprofit organizations. You know, you've got to orchestrate what that looks like.
Yep. Yep. You need strategy. You need to deploy your time and your resources most appropriately. I also have a very big pet peeve around galas and big fundraising events.
Oh yeah.
They
What is that? I can only imagine, but what's your
well, they can just burn a lot of staff resources and end up actually not even turning a profit because you're spending so much money on these, all of the hoopla and everything. And at the end of the day, you might, if you're lucky, if you break even, and you might net a little bit, but people kind of get all starry-eyed about it. Like, this is going to be, you know, this is going to save us. And I'm like, do not do a gap.
Yeah.
If
Like you
anything,
said, go ahead.
if anything, do smaller little personal convenings where you're bringing small groups together, bringing them to the site where you work, getting them to talk to your constituents and get them to fall in love with the organization like you do.
Yeah. I think you said it really well when you said it's about relationships. And then that statistic on top of that, 60% of monies donated come from individual donors. Wow. Yeah. Because, I hadn't heard that before. So for me, I'm thinking, oh, well, they go to corporate and corporate funds it. And I've been on the other side and corporate doesn't fund. But, for me, I was like, okay, they just don't fund my stuff. And so I kept moving to, get to the yes after that. But in fundraising, individual donors, 60%.
Yeah. And then there's another
about relationships. Go ahead.
Exactly. There's another slice that's bequest that's on top of that 60%. So people who are putting the nonprofit in their will. And a lot of times that happens without the nonprofit being aware.
Wow.
But the savvy nonprofits who have the resources can actually build a plan to kind of educate their donors about it and kind of know ahead of time. But of course, you don't know when people are going to pass. But yeah, so that number is even higher than 60% because there's also the requests that come in.
Who knew that? But that's why you're the go-to lady around nonprofit, because you know those kind of things. I love it. I love it. So where did this passion for you come from? Like, did you just embark upon working with nonprofits early in your career, or did you say, I want to work with nonprofits and this is where I'm going to go. This is how I'm going to go to get there?
Yeah, I think the root of it comes from personal. I grew up in the projects. I lost my mom when I was a teenager to suicide. And our family was disruptive. And thank God we had a very loving extended family that made sure that my sisters and I would be okay. But that doesn't always happen.
True.
We were on food stamps, so I have, and I had a degree in information systems.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a little far from what you're doing now.
Exactly.
Exactly. A little bit far.
Exactly. I that's one of those little known facts I like to whip out every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I started out in corporate. I was a sales rep for IBM and I sold mid-range computers. And it was like 3 years in, I was volunteering, I was doing JA, I was mentoring and tutoring. And I was like, no, that's not the thing. This is the thing. And then because I had the sales background, that translated perfectly into fundraising. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So is there anything in your background that we have not talked about that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, I also am very passionate about career change because I have changed my career several times. Even a couple things we haven't mentioned, like for example, I was an interior decorator.
Wow. Okay. Another one out of left field.
Exactly.
In my previous life, I did interior design too, so I get
I
it.
could see that. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
It so that was
happened to your creativity. That's what that does.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I just believe that you spend so much time working it's really important to enjoy what you do and not be at a place that is sucking the life out of you, not being suffering under a horrible boss, not being in a space of urgency or having to prove yourself or being second guessed. Life is too short. And so I love working with someone and having them shift from I hate this and I want to do something else, even if they don't know what it is, or to this is what I would love to do, but I'm not sure how I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
And so, we have a mutual friend who was a client of mine. I know you probably know who I'm talking about.
And she was a client of mine.
Yeah.
As a referral. Yes, I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I love being able to help people to shift and to create that space of passion and joy once again. Yeah.
And the thing I'll say, without naming names, the thing I'll say is, the thing I love about our mutual client is she is such a dynamo and such a go-getter that she made serving her in kind of looking at business and looking at her career totally fun.
Yes.
Totally
Completely.
fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Those are the clients that rank up there with the top, the best clients you ever serve, when you show up like that. Because they also end up doing the work on themselves to find whatever that passionate landing pad is for them, which I think is awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to hear the Profitable Wisdom segment with Trina Ramsey. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Denise Dennis, and you are tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversations show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode happens.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Thacker, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Trina Ramsey, and you've tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversations show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you can be notified when the next show goes live.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm talking with Trina Ramsey, who is an executive coach, and she works with nonprofits, the leaders, as well as the actual businesses, to help them with their structure, their strategy, their implementation, and of course, their business development or fundraising. So let's go through our Profitable Wisdom segment, Trina. I think people are really going to get a lot from you around this. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first question is, who's had the greatest influence on you in your life and business?
It would be my two older cousins, my mom's first cousins, who are like our godmothers. And I ended up living with my cousin Annette and Ednita. The three of them are the same age, and they just continue to pour into me and my family. And so I'm just so grateful. In my business, I have to say my mentor, Sylvia High of Aiming High. She, I actually was in a room with her, and that's when I first was inspired to become a coach back in 2009.
Okay.
And I have followed her, but then when I moved out to Cali, she's out here too. And we collaborate a lot. I support her with her annual conference, and we've become really close. And she really mentors me and supports me. I had a local speaking engagement, and she showed up. She actually took video for me. And
nice. Yeah.
Very nice. Beautiful, beautiful person, powerful woman. I'm so grateful.
Very nice. Very nice. And what's the best business advice you've ever received?
I think it would have to be about developing a niche. When I first got into coaching, I was very resistant to having a niche.
You want to coach everybody, everything. Whole person, life.
And for the first 3 or 4 years, I showed up really vanilla. And it took me a while. And that's and I was actually running from my women as my target audience, because I was like, we're so hard to sell to.
You know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because I was the same way with coaches.
Okay.
What I mean, I was like, no, I'm not going to coach other coaches. Everybody tries to coach coaches because we understand coaching. Yeah. God was laughing at me the whole time because
Yes.
when I finally gave in, my business exploded. And I'm sure that's what happened with you as
See.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, the niche is really important.
Yeah, very much so. The niche tied with your ideal client. They go
100%.
hand in hand.
Yes. Yes. You got to be really crystal clear about who that person is, what motivates them, what their pain points are, and why they will buy from you. And then also where to find them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing that is a pet peeve of mine, Trina, that people don't get narrow enough. Like you don't want to get too narrow, but they don't get narrow enough. So they end up trying to cast a broad net, and it's just not, it just doesn't work. You've got to make sure you know, then the platforms become really, really clear. The story I like to tell every time I talk about this pet peeve is I never joined Snapchat. And I never joined Snapchat. I don't even know if it's around anymore because TikTok is around, right? And I haven't joined TikTok either because what I found for me, my demographic is not necessarily widely a member of those platforms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That makes
why would I
perfect
do TikTok videos when my people are not over there? Why would I do Snapchat stuff? Because my people are not over there, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if they are, there are other nuances about them that led them to be on that platform versus the platforms where they're going to connect with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, very good. So what's your single sale, the amount for your best single sale? What were the circumstances and what did you do to celebrate?
Yeah. Okay. That's good. I like this story. So I was actually contacted by a firm that does coaching and consulting because they had a specific client that they thought would be a good match for me. And so I ended up doing a multi-session contract with them, coaching her. It was about $4,500. And she was a founder of a nonprofit in Chicago who was like 8 years in and really kind of getting overwhelmed as we do as nonprofit leaders. And it was so interesting because it was before I left the full-time job. And she was like the personification of this new niche. And so that was really powerful to be able to spend that time with her and really help her to move the needle and to choose herself in the work that she's doing.
Yeah, the thing that I love about that story is you realize that she's a whole person and you were able to help her specifically in the nonprofit area and beyond that. So even though you said it was $4,500, it probably morphed into so much more because of the kind of support you could lend to her.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. The reason I like to ask that question is because sometimes as coaches, we think there's a straight line to every piece of business that we convert, right? We don't understand that there's so many other possibilities and that's just one, right? Yeah. And so I love that story and how distinctive it is. So what'd you do to celebrate? Since that was a large number for you, what did you do to celebrate?
So I don't know if I actually slowed down to celebrate because I was still in the rat race of it all, you know. I was happy about it. I've shared this story without the details, but I don't know that I actually kind of did like that.
Yeah.
So
well, I give you permission to do like
thank
that
you.
and to celebrate it even now, you know.
Thank you.
You know, it's like we were talking before, when you are grateful, the divine, the universe, the world conspires to give you more for which to be grateful.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I just think that's a really big deal that
Yeah.
you're so grateful. I love that word, right? Grateful, grateful, grateful. So we all have those times, and you may have had them more than most because you've been doing dual duty for such a long time when we thought of giving up, right? What has helped you move through those times when you felt like giving up, when you thought about giving up to stay the course in your business?
Yeah. Do you know, back to the passion. I love this work. And even as I was doing it alongside the nonprofit work, and there were times when I literally paused. Like when I moved to California,
Mhm.
I didn't work my business for like a good year or so. And then my son was going through some challenges, and so I didn't have the bandwidth for it. But every time that I get in a space with a client, every time I'm in a space where I'm sharpening my own saw, even conversations like this is who I am. This is what God put me here. God put me here? And I'm really clear about it. So that has kind of continued to keep me moving forward, because I believe, like I said earlier, the work we do and how we spend our lives working is so much of a big part of the hours in our day. And if we're doing something just for the money, it's not going to mean as much.
Yeah. I was reading a post on Facebook earlier from one of my high school classmates. And he said that he had been working with someone he was a 33-year-old millennial, right? And he had given his 2 weeks notice. And when he asked him, why he was giving his notice, he said, well, people in my generation care less about doing a job for money. We want it to be a mentally healthy environment. We want it to be something that we enjoy and we're passionate about. And I don't feel that anymore. And so as someone who reported to the guy who posted, I'm doing it the other way around. As the guy who this person reported to, he made note of it and was like, we got to do some changes. We got to learn from them and make it an environment that's not brutally, taxing on our mental health of the people that work in the department. And I think that's so true. That's so true. I think we spend a lot of time, at least I know in my lifetime, I spent a lot of time working and thinking working was where I needed to be. But there was always this part of me in the back of my head that was like, you know what? I'm entrepreneurial. I'm not somebody who's going to work for somebody else. No, I'm entrepreneurial. So I need to focus on being entrepreneurial, right? So last question, what's your greatest personal accomplishment outside of your business? And I can only imagine that your mom's passing had a lot to do with your personal accomplishment. Am I right about that?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for asking that. I spent many, many years in denial, in shame. I did not want to talk about mental health. My mom was hospitalized for a long time and passed due to a stroke. So I got to say she had a stroke. I didn't have to get into that. I didn't have to reveal things. But what happened, I was like 48 or so. And Sylvia High at her conference, I Am Woman, she invited me to be on a panel for
Is that the
mental.
one in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
When you
September,
mentioned
gotta
her,
go.
yeah, you've mentioned it to me and invited me a couple of times. I'm going to have to get it on my calendar. But when you said it, I was like, I think that's the conference that you've been inviting me to. So anyway, Sylvia at her conference.
So I wrote one time in another book, and I spoke for the first time at that conference. So finding my voice and starting my healing journey to move past the pain and the shame that I've had around my mother's passing. And then I also lost my grandmother to cirrhosis of the liver 4 months later. So
4 months?
Yeah.
Oof.
January, May 1981. And so I held both of these women as less than, as broken, as, someone to be ashamed of. And I'm now working on my second book, which is a memoir about them and about mental health and the importance of destigmatizing these things. And so giving my voice, opening my voice, it has allowed me a sense of freedom, a sense of empowerment, and also just understanding, like, everyone deals with mental health challenges in some way. We're like, if it's not us, it's someone who's in our immediate family.
We're impacted by it.
Yes. So why do we treat it like it's such a taboo thing, like leprosy or something?
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but mental illness runs in my family. I've shared it with you before.
I think you have, yeah.
And I talk about it openly, but before 2016, I didn't.
Yeah.
Like if I have depression, my son has ADHD, my sister has a mental illness. I think my mom had undiagnosed depression. I believe that. When I look at that, I just was always, when I had a bout where it wasn't just a blues day, but I was clearly having a bout with depression that lasted more than that day, I would always tell people, oh, my sinuses are bothering me. Because there's such a shame, like you said, to telling someone. But can I just say this for everybody listening and watching? When I started talking about it openly, I was freed, right? I was delivered from that shame. And talking about it today, I view as almost like a responsibility that I didn't have before. So I love that you're incorporating that into your next book. I can't wait to read it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I just want to honor you for having that courage to open up and be more vulnerable and open. It does. It's freeing. And what I found is more people will talk about their own issues. Because they're
That's
like, oh,
totally what I found.
My sister, my brother, my niece, exactly.
You give them permission to share something that they don't always feel good about sharing about their own families, their own situations. So one day, like when we're off air, I'll tell you the rest of the backstory. I won't tell you here, but I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory of how I came to that. Let me just say that I am one of those people that stuff marinates for a little bit. And then I start, asking questions to get more clarity. And then I'm like, okay, time for me to do this. And that's kind of what happened with me around that. I had marinated on it. I had come out of being really, really sick for what felt like an eternity. It wasn't a long time, but it was long enough, And, for me, I went through that marination, starting to ask questions. And then I was like, time to do it. And then I have never looked back. Like I've never looked back.
That's
it's like
beautiful.
the best decision I ever could have made.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
when we come back, I'm sorry, what did you start to say?
I said, I'm happy for you.
Yeah. It makes a difference. I'm looking forward to reading your memoir because I know you have a lot to say as well about the whole experience of mental illness and mental health. So looking forward to that.
Thank you.
So we'll be right back with Trina's parting thought. Being a member of a business mastermind can lead to exponential growth in your coaching business and in your bottom line. But how do you know if the mastermind is right for you? The right mastermind offers an opportunity for you to discover new growth insights and proven business strategies while putting them into practice with the right tools to grow and scale your coaching business. The right mastermind connects you to other high-achieving coaches so you can partner and collaborate. The right mastermind guides your efforts to grow and scale your coaching business. In just a few days, I'm hosting an information call so you can discover how to reserve your seat in the Profitable Coaches Mastermind. You can get all the details at profitablecoachesmastermind.com. You're invited to join this group networking and strategy call, and it's absolutely free. And so is the mastermind. That's right, the Profitable Coaching Mastermind is a high-value complementary opportunity for you to discover how to grow your coaching business. It's also a hands-on workshop designed to offer strategy to scale your coaching business. It's also an activation session with implementation tools you can use to grow and scale your coaching business. That's right, the Profitable Coaching Mastermind is totally complimentary. So save your spot so you can discover how to join the mastermind. This is not a sales call. Nothing will be sold. There will be no selling. There will be no offer. It is an opportunity, so save your spot. This is your opportunity for a collaborative interview, and you get to ask questions and get answers. Hi, Income Acceleration Mentor WendyY Bailey here, and I'm so excited about the Profitable Coaches Mastermind. The information call is designed to give you a little bit more information about it and for you to sort of decide if it's the right time for you at this point. Remember, the information call is complimentary, and so is the mastermind. I'm so excited about it because I got to tell you, I have pulled 3 key pieces out of my body of work. We're going to talk in the mastermind about predictable coaching income. We're going to talk about business operations. And we're also going to talk about how you put your productivity into overdrive to create the sustainability in your coaching business. So be sure to sign up for the information call. I'm going to give you all the skinny when we meet. And I hope to see you in the mastermind as well. See you then.
Hi, I am Marquessa Petway, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Tim Fitzpatrick, and you're tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi there, I'm Robert Kennedy III, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. Don't forget to like, comment, review, and subscribe right now so that you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Welcome back. What a powerful story you have, Trina. And I'm so excited that you are full-time serving your clients because of all the wealth of information and knowledge and expertise you have to share with them. I think it's amazing. I really, really do. And thank you so much for being here on the show. I know you have a parting thought that you'd like to share. And think about it as if there's one thing that you want the listeners and the viewers to know from our conversation, what would that parting thought be for them? What is that?
Yeah, I think the summary is the whole idea of moving past fear. We have fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not looking good and not being so buttoned up and everything. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that can stop us from our greatness. Though that's what kept me in my nonprofit career for as long as I did. But the minute we're able to face those fears and really think about what is possible, and what I do with my clients is I help them to think about the worst case scenario and actually live into it. Okay, what would that look like? And how would you feel? And then what would happen? And then you kind of like, oh, well, actually the worst case scenario
isn't all that bad.
It's recoverable.
Yeah.
I can move on. Life will go on. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the simplicity of that, but also how profound it is as well. It just can make such a difference when you start looking at that which scares you most. So I applaud you for that. And you have a gift for everyone. You want to tell us about it?
Yes, absolutely. It's a gift called How to Harness the Power of No in Your Career. So similar to the fear thing, there are a lot of times that we inadvertently say yes to things that we don't mean to, or just holding on and being safe in a space or in a career or a job that's no longer serving us. These are tips that are actually drawn from my book that really pull into the workplace. 10 different lessons and ways that you can say no and transform your career and get to your ultimate dream.
Nice. Very, very nice. Even though it's not expressly stated for me, I got to go get that, girl, because that sounds good. That sounds good.
Thank you.
I remember, and I didn't read the book, but I read the synopsis of the book, My Year of Yes by Sean.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you got to read it.
I got to read it.
Oh,
it reminds me, your gift reminds me of that, because when she started saying yes to things, all of a sudden her world opened up. So I'm kind of like, between the two, your gift and her book, I think I need a dose of that right now.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Trina, thank you so much for being here. I've so enjoyed speaking with you.
Me too. Thank you for having me. You're one of my favorite people. So when you invited me, I was like, oh,
yeah. It was a no-brainer for me. I was like, I gotta get Trina on the show because I know you have a lot to say. And I know that what you've shared today is high value for the people who are watching and listening.
Thank you so much, my sister.
Yeah. So we'll be back for another episode with another awesome guest. I told you I was going to try to use awesome rather than amazing. And Trina Ramsey, I really appreciate you being here. There's going to be another awesome guest in the future. Be sure to join the after party at profitablecoachingsociety.com. See you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into Profitable Coaching Conversations with WendyY Bailey. Be sure to join us at the after party at www.profitablecoachingsociety.com. We'll see you next time for more sales and marketing wisdom and insight from WendyY and her amazing guests. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when new episodes are posted.